Board. All right, here we go. Thank you everyone for being a part of today's meeting. And I'm going to get started by sharing our who we are and what we do and why we're here. We are Advanced Toastmasters Online, and our new website is ato.toastmastersclubs.org. We are an advanced Toastmasters club which supports Maverick leaders in creating greater impact by providing advanced feedback on online presentations and leadership skills and discovering what it means to be out-of-the-box innovative leaders. We do meet monthly on the second Wednesday of each month at noon. Please always remember to come back to this Zoom link on this page just to click it and you'll be transported magically inside of our meeting. Those online meeting tips, which we like to do, is mute ourselves when we're not talking. This gives space for the speaker to have the entire stage. Please also remember to Google or toggle your video on and off if you leave your seat or if you are eating and you don't want us to see you eating with food in your mouth. If you'd like to adjust your view, you can go here to where it says speaker view or gallery view. You can adjust that on your end. I will be recording on my end from how it appears on my side, which will be the speaker view. And if you have questions, please put those in the chat box at the bottom of the screen. Do that in between speeches so you are not interrupting the speaker with a chat box popping up and on their screen as they're talking. This meeting will be recorded. It is recorded, and we will be linking to those videos on our website so you can see those. And we are excited to invite you to become a part of our pre-chartered club and happy to have you here. We are, like I said, an advanced Toastmasters club, which would mean you would have a CC award or Pathways Level 3 award or higher. Most of us here are DTM, so thank you very much. And at this time, I am your Toastmaster of the day. Yay! And if you haven't seen the agenda for our meeting, I will announce who's doing the roles. I will go ahead and do the timers report for today since we don't have a timer yet, but we do have two speakers. We have Lori Whitmore will be speaking, and so will Doug Thiessen. We have our topics master today is Kelly McCormick. Willie's going to be doing an evaluation, so is Aaron. I will be doing the timing. And do we have anyone who'd like to volunteer to be the grammarian or the counter for us today? Not, we'll just like move past that role and just let it be a part of our, absorb it into our evaluations and our round robin evaluations, I think. All right, so just for the timing purposes, I will introduce myself as the timer, tell you what I'll be doing. I will be, when you get to your good spot, I'll be putting up a green coffee cup. This is what I have available, green. Yellow for your yellow banana for when you get to the 5.5 or 6 minute mark, if you're a 5 to 6 minute speech. And then just the top of my rainbow thing, that's red. I'll try to get it as close as I can so you can see the red. That's how we will be doing timing today as we do it all. So the first part of our first speaker today is Lori Whitmore. And she is doing her Pathways project evaluations and feedback #2 from the humorous Pathways project, Engaging Humor. Her speech title is Living the High Life, spelled H-A-I, and the introduction is, today Lori will be delivering that second speech of her Level 1 project, evaluation and feedback from the new Engaging Humor Path. The objective of this speech is to deliver the same speech again, incorporating feedback from the associated evaluation. the title of her speech is Living the High Life. Again, Living the High Life, and the time for this speech is 5 to 7 minutes. Please help me in welcoming distinguished Toastmaster Lori Whitmore. Yay!
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Oh, I don't have myself in the view at all, but I'll manage. Living the high life, what might that mean to you? Well, it's kind of pronounced a little bit like high, as in H-I-G-H, but actually it's intended to be living the high life. And chai is a special word in Hebrew that means long life, and it also represents the number 18. So it's a little bit of a play on words that it kind of sounds like high, living the high life. And it could have more than one meaning. For me, living the high life is living beyond my wildest dreams, being able to be in a warm climate in the winter at actually a fairly low cost. Sure, we could consider renting in the Florida area. However, there was one big problem with that plan. Have you ever heard the story of the princess and the pea, where the princess can feel a little hard pea underneath 20 mattresses piled up high? That's me. I'm that kind of princess, only I need a comfortable mattress. I do not get a good night's sleep when I sleep at a hotel or rent something from someone else. It's not my good bed. If I can't even make it through a week vacation, how could I possibly get through 3 months? Rick came up with the solution, and he suggested that we buy an RV so we could BYOB, bring your own bed, which is what we have done. We have the most amazing custom mattress that we had made for the RV, and we are living the high life, spending the winter in sunny Naples, Florida, instead of freezing our little heinies off in Boston. In addition, we're sleeping better than ever before. Rick can't figure out, wow, we're sleeping until like 7 a.m., sometimes even 8 a.m. We're sleeping sometimes 8 hours, which normally we would never get that much sleep. So I'm thinking, I might have to buy a new mattress when I go home in Framingham, because our bed in the RV is now better than the bed we have in our house. I don't think it's the air quality down here. Now, there's one drawback in spending the winter away from home. You do kind of need somebody to check in on your house occasionally, and my son has been willing to do that. And also, I don't get to see people that I love. My mom, who lives in New Jersey, my grandchildren who live in the next town, and my kids. But I mostly miss my grandchildren. So I've been doing my best to keep in touch with them by sending postcards, and they're 6 years old and under, so they've been incredibly excited to receive mail. You've got mail, like real mail, not email mail, which they don't really do email. So they've been so excited to receive mail from me, and I keep sending them postcards. And I try to do FaceTime with them, but their attention span is about 2 minutes. So that's one drawback, but otherwise, we are loving swimming outdoors, which was the whole driving force for spending the winter in a warm climate. Rick and I started swimming outdoors, swimming every day about a year and a half ago. And now we can swim outdoors in the winter. So we've extended our swimming outdoors season by coming here. And we are loving it so much. We're already talking about coming here next year. I don't know what your current situation is. I still work full time, but since I work from home, I was able to finagle it that I could work from home here in Naples, Florida. If you're not yet retired and still working and you have some flexibility in your life, I highly, highly encourage you to consider living in a warmer climate during some winter months so that you can extend the beauty of summer. One additional thing I have going on here is that I have a vertical tower garden, which is kind of like a strawberry planter, 6 feet tall, that has a pump in it that pumps water to the top and waters the plants. And in the wintertime, I always had to put that in my kitchen and keep it indoors. But now I have a tower garden outdoors in the winter with fresh salads growing. Most of the RVers nearby like to come and see how everything's growing and getting so big until I snip it off for a salad. So that's just another little bonus. But again, I want to encourage you to consider a choice like this in your future, to consider being in a warmer climate in the winter so that you too could be living the high life. Madam Toastmaster.
Yay, thank you so much for your speech and sharing the high life with us. Our next speaker for the day is Doug Thiessen, and Doug is working on his level 2 project in Pathways, Strategic Relationships, Introduction to Mentoring. In this speech, he will tell us about a time when he was a protege. Please help me welcome DTM Doug Thiessen.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Now, as experienced Toastmasters, I think we're all familiar with mentoring within the Toastmasters environment, and we've probably all been mentored in Toastmasters. So I want to talk about a time actually before I joined Toastmasters, back when I was doing my master's degree in physics. And I had mentors then too, which helped me immensely. Although I don't know necessarily at the time that I thought about them as mentors specifically, but thinking back on the people that I worked with and how they helped me, I definitely could say that they were mentors to me. And I want to talk to you about 3 different people that really helped me work through my master's degree and the projects that I had to do. So my first mentor was a fellow named Martin, and he was a postdoctoral fellow working in the experiment that we were doing. And this was a large project. I was in Vancouver at the time, working in a research lab there, but we were part of a multinational collaboration that was building particle detectors. And the whole experiment was being shipped off to Hamburg, Germany, where things were actually going to happen. So my project was working on a specific system. It was a gas handling system for one of the detectors. And Martin, well, he was kind of in charge of that part of the system. Me, I'm just a lowly grad student, so I get to follow orders and do work and learn. But he really helped me figure out what to do. He explained the overall project very well to me, handled questions from me, and helped me design the experiments that we needed to perform in order to understand exactly how to design the overall system. And I really appreciate the help that he gave me. He was always available, to answer questions and guide me through things, but mostly he gave me the guidance for me to figure out how to make things work for myself. And that is a mark of a good mentor. You know, he didn't just tell me what to do and how to do it. The second mentor was a professional engineer at the research lab. His name was Robert, and he really guided me through the technical aspects of what I needed to do and the details. And thinking about the difference between mentoring versus coaching, maybe he was a bit of a coach more than a mentor, because he was great as a resource for explaining exactly how things worked, how I needed to get things done, and how to kind of manage at the research lab in order to make things happen. The third mentor, who definitely wasn't planned as a mentor to me, but I think he was my biggest mentor as a master's student. And that was a PhD student working under the same professor. So we worked together a whole lot, although he had his own areas of what he was doing. His name was Rolf, and he was actually a student from Germany, but doing his studies in Vancouver, except, of course, once things were built in the lab in Vancouver and we shipped them off to Hamburg, well, now he's back in his home country. But Rolf was immensely helpful to me. As a new grad student, I didn't really know what I was doing. You can get an amazing amount of education and knowledge from doing your bachelor's degree. But graduate studies is where you really have to take that knowledge and figure out what to do with it. And that is an entirely different step. So Rolf, as a PhD student, he'd done a bit of this already. He'd experienced it, and he really helped walk me through what I could expect in my life as a graduate student, what I could expect for the courses that I was doing, and how marks were handled. You know, what does an A mean in a graduate course? And he also really helped me learn how to handle time management as a graduate student, because you're given a lot of freedom to do what you need to do, but you have to make sure you get it done. And he was really able to provide a great wealth of information and answer questions that provided an immense amount of support. And then once we moved to Germany, I spent about 4 months living in Hamburg as we helped to build the system, you know, install it there, test it out, make sure that things were working. And since Rolf is German, he really helped me understand a lot more about the culture. He showed me around the city, explained how the transit system works there, and just life in Germany in general. And that was immensely helpful to me. And while he was never assigned to be a mentor or a teacher to me, he absolutely was. And I truly appreciate the work and support that Rolf provided to me, even though he was a fellow graduate student. So in my course of being a master's student, I had several mentors, and not all of them I expected to have. In fact, the one mentor that I expected to have really wasn't. I expected my thesis supervisor, the professor that I was working for, to be a mentor to me. And as it turns out, well, he had a whole lot of duty to do to run the whole team in Vancouver that was working on this experiment. And so instead of my professor being the mentor that I expected, he was certainly a valuable resource, but he knew how to assign people and delegate tasks so that I learned what I needed to learn and I got support. And that really is what a mentor is all about, to help people provide, help provide the learning, the support, and the knowledge that we as proteges need to move forward and step out on our own. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you so much for your speech and for sharing a little bit about your graduate mentors. So thank you. The next portion of our meeting will be our table topics, and our table topics mistress today is Kelly McCormick. So please help me welcome Kelly McCormick as she explains what she'll be doing as a table topics master, and lead us into that section. So thank you.
Want to make sure you can hear me. Everybody can hear? Okay, good. I'm trying it on headset at this point. So we're an advanced Toastmasters club. And I don't have to tell anybody in this group that. So one of the things I really love about this group is giving maybe just a little bit bigger challenge than my 1205 group will give to the rest of us. Because you've hit either all the way or most of the way to that 3 letters DTM, which I consider to be the first black belt. I want to give us a challenge to start with. I want you to think about what was your favorite table topic ever. And just think through that. Kind of get that in your mind. Because I'm going to pick Lori, and I'm going to give her my first favorite. I get you. Can I just leave it like this, Lori, and it goes just fine? You can hear?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Fantastic. Thank you for that feedback. So, Lori, my favorite table topic ever was when somebody brought a bag of pennies. Now, I have some quarters in front of me. And you reach in, you pull one out, and you grab one and look at the date. And based on that date, you do your table topic. So my question to you is on a 1 to 7, what number would you like to pick? And I'll give you the quarter.
So Kelly, I was going to suggest that since I was a speaker today, that you call on others first, and you could circle back to me if there's time.
How about this? I promise I'll do that, but you're going to be engaged in this, and I appreciate that. So what, on a scale of 1 to 7, what's your favorite number between 1 and 7 right now?
5.
5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't see these, so I kind of went ahead and looked. 2014. Lori, what's something that happened in 2014 you can tell us about?
2014, Madam Topics Master. Well, that was a really tough year for me, 2014. It was the last year that I worked at the worst job of my life. Mostly because it was the worst boss of my life. Have you ever noticed the connection between a job you love and a boss that you like working for? For me, every single job change I've made was because maybe the person who hired me wasn't my current boss. That person moved on. I handpicked my boss, but then they deserted me. And I had been promoted to be a manager of a DBA team, and it was this big high-paying job with a big, 25% annual bonus, golden handcuffs for sure. And my manager was ruthless, and I could not continue working for her. So I was very grateful to find another job where I was sort of demoted in that I went back to being an individual contributor. And now I don't have to manage any people, just manage myself. And I started my new job in the beginning of 2015. So 2014 is a year I want to forget and not relive because I was miserable. The only good thing about that was that it motivated me to get out of there. And now I have the best job ever in my life. And we'll stick with that one. Back to you, Kelly.
Thank you. Now, I'm putting you on double duty. When I asked you that question earlier, what was your favorite table topic? What comes to mind?
I remember one. It was when I was in a table topics contest that I did very well in. And so I will put the topic out there. Would you like to pick the person?
Yep, go ahead and say it, and I will throw it out to somebody.
White lies, good or bad?
Okay, who do you think would be a good person to pick on?
Dawn.
That's who I was going with. Thank you very much, Lori. Dawn, over to you.
Oh my, white lies, good or bad? I have a belief system that is, it's always good to tell the truth. I am brutally honest, which means that white lies are not always the best, or we'll say the truth is not always the best. The white lies will probably be better than the truth that I sometimes find much easier to share. When I was growing up, I remember believing the opposite, that white lies were the best way to go about doing things. And as a young child, I remember getting caught in the web of so many white lies and always remembering like that image of, you know, oh, the tangled tales we weave when we practice to deceive. I heard that so many times in my life. I could literally see in my response to things and sharing more lies, I could see myself weaving these lies and then trying to figure out which thread did I tell, who did I tell that to, what did I do? So after some period of time, I decided that the truth was always the best option. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Dawn. And Dawn, what was the table topic you enjoyed?
So, and my favorite table topics have always been grab bags, so I'm not sure
Got it.
how we do
Yeah,
this.
what comes to mind? What was the grab bag?
What comes to mind, we'll just make one of my items that I've been holding up today, the thing in the grab bag. So tell a story about the banana.
Excellent. Okay. Erin, would you tell us a story about a banana? This should be interesting.
Out of all the possibilities of any type of question that I'm answering, the first choice is bananas. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, bananas really crack me up, just like the conversations, right? Bananas has lots of symbolic meanings. When I say symbolic, doesn't mean don't go to the wrong direction. I'm actually going to the right direction by thinking about bananas. Actually, is the most nutritious fruit ever. And it's actually a nightmare for my own childhood story. Let me begin my own childhood story at a glance. Once upon a time, there was a nice little kid who is a daredevil. He tried everything. Basically, no one is going to stop him until his dad came. His dad is a very strict person, serious, very tough, and always punish his kid for doing anything that is wrong or anything that's not to his liking. So he made him kneel in front of a random goddess place. And what's next is that he has to kneel there for at least 10 hours every day. That is my life when I'm punished. And in front of me, there lies a fruit basket. Within those fruit basket, there is a special banana. And banana will be very nutritious for me when I'm kneeling for 10 hours, not even having my dinner, lunch, or even the morning breakfast. So what I did is the nightmare of my life that I never touch another banana unless I have proven that it doesn't have the key variables in that. So what are the key variables? I actually ate that banana, starving, and what happened next was my nightmare. I ate a banana that has lots of maggots in there. True story. And ever since that day ever happened, I never try another banana in my life again unless there is a banana sundae, which is cut into half, and let me see whether there is any maggots in there. And it's still true story to this very day. When there's someone who give me a banana, I will say, no, I'm not going to eat that. And I said, it's the worst nightmare of my life. So, ladies and gentlemen, all the nightmares are created by your worst fears. Obviously, you can tell me that I'm overcoming it, but the thing is that I'm never overcoming this one because I can live without bananas. Come on, literally. So next time when someone gives you a banana in life, think about the possible consequences. The unexpected results will come out. Back to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Aaron. And Aaron, question for you. Do you have a particular table topic that you enjoyed in the past?
I never enjoy any table topics, actually.
Do you have one that you least enjoyed?
At least.
Was it one about bananas?
No. Okay, let me think. I think the questions I at least kind of enjoyed is
Tell us
that
about Hong Kong. Tell us what's a thing about Hong Kong that we might least know?
at least no coronavirus right now.
Okay, so let's go with that. And I'm going to ask everybody to mute if you are not speaking. So thank you for that, Aaron. Willie, would you mind to address the coronavirus? The coronavirus, sorry. As a table topic.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, table topic master. Actually, what is coronavirus? The experts say that it's a kind of virus that is caused by some animals, wildlife. We don't know at this point of time whether this is caused by a wildlife that is in China, but it can be in any part of the country. So, but the scientists have detected that it's related to the virus that caused severe respiration, SARS. In 2003, 2009, that's called MERS. There is a kind of influenza in the flu. It's a flu type of viruses that is the same group of family. And this point of time, I can't tell you what causes it because nobody knows. Only the scientists who know that. But in China, there's a doctor who have found out that the virus is created because of food or wild. It's not because of wildlife. So I will not speculate what, but the only medicine that can cure this coronavirus is only flu vaccine or just Panadol or flu and many other related syndrome. We don't know yet, so I cannot tell you what it is. I can assume. So go to WHO website to find out more. Thank you, table topic master.
Thank you, Willie. That's perfect. Now, Willie, I have a question for you.
Yep.
You live in the East, correct?
Yep.
You live in, where do you live exactly?
Singapore.
Singapore, fantastic. I've been there. It's a wonderful place. What do you find most surprising about the West? What kind of surprises you about, say, America or Europe?
Actually, I don't find any surprises because I'm born in the wrong country.
Gotcha.
Because I work the way like the US,
surprising?
to the Americas as well as the US,
Gotcha.
the European. I do not work like a Asia because I like my
What
way.
would we find surprising, do you think, in Singapore?
People like to when there's free food, they will go and queue for hours.
They'll go and queue for hours? That's very similar to England. So thank you, Willie. And Doug, talk about a time when you queued for hours. You were in line for hours. Thank you.
First, I want to ask, do we have time for this topic?
We do. We have 2 minutes.
Okay. A time when I had to queue up for hours, or at least a long time. I don't know if it was hours. But I remember going to Disneyland when I was a kid. My parents took us to Los Angeles. We went to Disneyland. We went to various places around Southern California. I remember San Diego. And they have a great theme park there as well. And while I certainly remember Disneyland and the great rides and the wonderful experience, I also remember lineups. I remember standing in line for rides, for it might not have been hours, might only have been half an hour at a time, but to a 9-year-old kid, that sure seems like hours. And the line snakes back and forth in their nice little segmented system to make sure that everyone is sectioned off and handled appropriately. And you just sort of shuffle forward every few minutes, take another few steps forward. And sometimes those lineups, and maybe the conversations that you actually had with some other kids standing in line, were actually a lot more memorable than whatever ride it was that you were waiting for. Now, there were some great rides. I remember Space Mountain doing a roller coaster in the dark. And I remember it was worth the long wait to do that. But I certainly remember standing in line and waiting and waiting and waiting to eventually get the ride that we desired. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Doug. So wonderful job both being the person who does the table topics and creates it for everybody else. So wonderful job, team Table Topic Masters. Now, I want to introduce this is what our lives are here as entrepreneurs, as startup types. Everybody around here is in every minute in table topics. I wish you a wonderful week of table topics. Back to you, Dawn.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. That was a really interesting and informative table topics, which I hope to take back to my home club here. So that'll be fun. I'm going to get straight into the evaluations. Our first evaluator today is Willie. He is evaluating Lori's speech. And remember, Willie, as you come on, I will be timing you, but when you're finished, you will be doing a round robin, which is also, you just ask other people to have, if they have feedback for the speaker as well. So, and if you need any help with that, let me know and I can do that.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Please help me welcome Willie as our first evaluator. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. Okay, my evaluation to Rory's speech was, your speech title and your content are able to sing in today's speech. You have improved, as I have highlighted in the last meeting, or Toastmaster don't have highlighted in the last meeting that was a bit puzzle your speech in your last meeting last month. But in today's speech, it was a well synchronized speech which I can listen throughout. And I saw Dawn was laughing away listen to your speech. As this, okay, the area of improvement that I would like to see in your next speech was increase your intonation and rhythm in your vocal variety. You need to put more. I understand this is a morning early morning for you. I believe morning or live. You should put more vocal variety to say that, oh, view your own bed. Just a scenario. It's just not the right words they use, because to sound the speaker, it was a bit, your speech was constant, in a constant mode that most of them feel a bit sleepy along the way. And you should show some visual aids and gesture, like what I mentioned now, because your speech was, so that you can be more humorous, because laughing away throughout your speech was not the main impact of being humor. Making your speech could be humor is, and your vocal variety and your visual aids can help us create more impact in your speech, so that we can listen to your next speech. All in all, I would like to listen to your next speech by attending the meeting next month, so that we can see that you have taken an effort to deliver your speech in a more humorous speech without a smile of your face, so that we want to hear the humorous part for your speech content rather than you laughing away. That's not the purpose of the speech. The purpose of the speech is to be humorous and then get the audience to laugh all the way. Oh, and I have and my evaluation over, back to you. I let the audience have a view of any feedback they may have for Dawn. Over, back to, how about Kelly? Any feedback you may have for her?
I think what was great about that was everything always comes off of when Laurie does a speech. It just always comes natural. It's a lot like what Rick does. Both of them have that same comfortable feel. I would maybe balance the intentionality plus the comfort level, to where sometimes the intentionality brings us up, and then sometimes the comfort allows us to sort of just relax in that moment. So maybe that's some of the variety that Willie was speaking of as well. But I'm always comfortable in having it feels like a conversation. So well done, thank you.
Can I have the feedback for Dawn? Sorry, Dawn. Any feedback for Lori speech? Actually, okay, yeah, thank you.
Laura, I really enjoyed the speech. It was good hearing it again. I'm afraid I can't really add too much in the way of evaluation, though, because I was thinking more about my own speech. But I certainly enjoyed listening to it, and it was funny. It was good.
Okay, thank you, Can I have Errol? Any feedback for Dory to take it back?
I think I really like about Laurie's vocal variety and passion is just that every time Laurie actually speaks is like the music melody. When I say music melody, is like the passion, the sparkles, is always the happy vibe. That's something very unique about Laurie, and that's something that deserves applause. So give a round of applause for Laurie with that. I never be able to learn from it, because even if I smile, or even if I want to cheer out people, I don't have the vibe. This is something that maybe speakers have to master for a long time. Challenge for Laurie is that Laurie will have generally is more like this status of enthusiasm or posture for quite some time, and to me, there is slight fluctuations in terms of the passionate happy mode. When I say passionate happy mode, because like as speaker, we have to maintain a high active posture or even like the stage presence, and if we are actually doing it in prolonged state, we might actually deteriorate in terms of the energy vibe that you're giving. So let's say, for example, the start, you give 100% energy vibe, but alongside you have to upkeep it. You have to sustain it for a long time. Like by the time it's like 5 minutes to 7 minutes, it actually drops to around like 50%. So I would rather suggest that next time, when you start off the speech, start with like 70% on the energy vibe, and after which adjust it accordingly. Otherwise, it will be kind of stressful in the long run. So that's my suggestion of my observation.
Thank you, Aaron. Over back to you, Doc. Any final words before you take over?
Thank you. I'm going to just say a couple things. I love your speech, Lori, and I'm going to go straight into the next evaluation. I found a lot of it very humorous, a lot of your speech very humorous, and I was feeling like I would have liked maybe just popping out some of those really funny pieces, and kind of reminded me. I thought that just you having the high life at the back of your camper, that's really funny. I mean, so maybe even adding more energy around that, I thought was a possibility. I mean, you do a really great job. So I'm going to move straight into the next evaluation, which is Aaron. Aaron will be evaluating Doug's speech. So please help me welcome Aaron along as he does his evaluation for Doug.
Thank you very much, Sho. Doug's speech is about introduction to mentoring. Introduction to mentoring focus on really sharing about stories that either he can be a mentor to inspire others or mentors inspiring him. So he brings a very nice story back to his school days. Yeah, very younger days about masterclass, and then after which 3 different people to talk about in his speech. What I really like about Doug in terms of giving the speech itself is that there are lots of kind of personal flavors in terms of the people that he's describing. When I see from his eyes, although sometimes it's the first challenge for him is never look at the script. It's very obvious. So the script was actually on his eye level. So I was looking at him looking downwards. It's definitely a script there, unless you want to bet on my drink. But the thing is, the part where I really like is that usually with self-reflectiveness, I can see from his eyes that he meant really well, authentically. So authenticity would be his strength in his speech. And moreover, he actually, at the end part, I feel that his heart is connecting with us. The part about self-reflection about, I really thought that this is my mentor, but it's not. He actually do a self-conversation at the end, which makes us deep in thoughts like, if I were him, if I'm thinking about the same questions, what would it be like? That is the connectivity there. So authenticity, connectivity, you've done really well on that. And the last great thing about Doug is that when he did his speech this time around, is that I noticed that he meant well in terms of he kind of keep his composure, very logical, really structured, and it's like watching a movie throughout. So for those 3 reasons, give a round of applause for Doug. Okay, sorry, I just shook my hands. Now, for a challenge point for Doug is that I would suggest for him that try to keep it balanced for 3 different characters. I noticed that there are some characters that you didn't focus too much on. Like the second speaker, you only focus a bit. And I was like, how come the first one has more description than the second one? Is that a pushover or something? No. Then I noticed that you mentioned the word is like, I think it's the most important one for the third one. So it actually good for twister. If I were you, I would actually do like a step-by-step basis. The second speaker, the second person that inspired you will be the first one to talk about because it has more of a light flavor. It's like going for a nice full course meal. Second speaker with light content, and then the first speaker with more content, and then finally the last speaker with the most content. That way you actually go by this way. Then I think it will be really cool because at least the most heavy bits are at the end. And there are lots of takeaways from your mentoring scheme. So if there's another challenge for Doug is that you mentioned a word about coach and mentor. And this is actually the test of all these manuals on introduction to mentoring. Because in the introduction to mentoring manual itself, the questions there are what is the difference between a coach and a mentor? And that question particularly tackles into this speech itself. So I would like to learn or know the difference, although I know it, the difference between a coach and a mentor. When you mentioned that he is more like a mentor to me than a coach, I want to know that difference at that moment. So there are lots of puzzling questions that time. So I would suggest that at the end, maybe give a nice conclusion, which you did, and then a takeaway saying that now I realize the difference between a coach and a mentor. The coach will be this, and the mentor will be that. Have you learned the difference today? Like kind of doing the wrap up like that. So all in all, great speech. Without looking forward to the next speech in level 3. Now roundtable. I'm going to do it in a very different way, like not Willie, but I will do it in a standard ATO method, which I kind of forgot already. So roundtable is that if there's anyone who wants to comment on Doug's speech, please raise your hand. I will be pointing you to shortly, or else I'll be randomly picking someone first. I saw Dawn first, so I will just keep on.
Oh, thanks. Doug, I enjoyed your speech. I wanted to make the point that even though I did notice that you absolutely were reading from your script, that I enjoyed your how you used just your head as for like gesturing. You did a lot of this, and I felt that your head was very expressive. I would have liked to have maybe some hand action, to add to some expression. I understand when we're reading a speech that we're kind of keeping our eyes and maybe even our hands on some like technical tools, maybe the mouse pad or whatever. One of the other things I just is suggesting, if you are going to read from a script, which is very appropriate for doing on-screen presentations, is to move that script up right where the eye level is. And so it doesn't look so much like you're reading down here. It really looks like you still have the eye contact. So just a suggestion as you think about it. But I did enjoy how you used your head very much in your speech and how expressive it was in your movement. So that's back to you, Aaron.
Thank you, Dawn. I would like to move on to Laurie.
I have a little bit similar feedback for Doug. I also made a note about, I could see that Doug was looking down, and when I give a speech using notes, I do tape it right onto my screen, right next to my camera, so that it looks like I'm looking up more. So that was a great suggestion by Dawn. One of the things that I really enjoyed Doug's speech a lot. I love mentoring and hearing about how mentors have helped people, and I liked hearing the stories that he shared. I thought he had really good use of vocal variety, something that I was paying attention to. For gestures, I find, maybe Kelly picked up on how I'm just too relaxed sitting in this chair. I even have armrests, so I'm really relaxed. And you have to I think I have to like sit up and really lean forward almost to engage and use gestures when we're sitting in a chair on these videos. So I did notice the head movement, as Dawn pointed out, but I was going to suggest also bringing hands in a way that we don't want to block our face, but somehow bring a little bit more of our body into the speech. Overall, great job, Doug, and it was very, very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Laurie. And I saw that Dawn actually raised up the red card. I presume that's the correct, right?
Could I add
Unfortunately,
one small thing to the comments that were made?
Yes.
It's interesting, actually, that people, everyone sort of said, I see you were reading your script. Let me show you the entirety of my script.
That is still a script. That is still a script. It's just a different meaning for that. Okay.
It's just a mind map. There's no script for me to read per se.
I'm so
But
sorry.
clearly I'm looking down as I'm thinking about the specific words. So that is an area that I should work on.
Oh, that's good. Well, so like Lori said, you might want to try taping that mind map up by your up by your camera so you can stay really focused. So that was good. And I love seeing your mind maps of how you do speeches. I remember you did that early on. Thanks everyone for a great meeting. I hope that the fact that we mentioned that we want our members to pay dues won't distract Aaron from being a part of our club, because we really do appreciate your help and support. And we would also like to charter, so that's where that comes from. Love and fiscal responsibility. So you can all unmute yourself. What we'll do is ask you, if you haven't already logged into the meeting for next week. Let me go ahead and end our recording, because we can do that. And we'll go straight into stop the recording.